What happens when a nation's secret is buried deeper than any grave? While Indonesia slept, a military coup was silently launched.
They called themselves the September 30th movement.
By dawn, 6 top generals lay dead,
Dumped in an abandoned well called Lubang Buaya.
The official story began immediately, a carefully constructed lie.
They claimed communist women danced naked, performing a satanic ritual.
Autopsy reports proved it was a lie, but the lie spread faster.
Within hours, General Suharto seized control of the army.
He initiated a sweeping era of transformation that would redefine the nation's destiny forever.
Within months, up to 3 million people were dead.
Teachers, farmers, union workers, anyone suspected of leftist sympathies. Anyone whose name appeared on a list. Behind it all, the CIA. This is the forgotten genocide that changed the Cold War balance.
America helped kill 1 million people, hiding the truth for decades. To understand 1965, you must see what Indonesia was then.
Vast reserves of oil, rubber, tin. The West desperately needed them. Its location controlled vital sea lanes between Asia and the Middle East. In Cold War logic, Indonesia was the ultimate domino theory piece.
One man stood at the center of the storm, holding the threads of a divided destiny.
3 powerful forces, 3 different visions, all locked in a struggle for the nation's soul.
The PKI was the largest communist party outside the Soviet bloc.
3 million members, 20 million supporters through affiliated groups.
They weren't revolutionaries. They were teachers wanting better wages.
Farmers who wanted land reform. Workers demanding union rights. But in Washington's eyes, they were an existential threat.
The CIA had tried to destabilize Indonesia since 1958.
They backed a failed rebellion, providing weapons and even American pilots.
When one pilot was captured, the operation was an international embarrassment.
But the CIA didn't give up. They cultivated the military. They trained officers, provided equipment, and gathered intelligence. Most importantly, they compiled the lists. These lists became death warrants. What actually happened on September 30th remains disputed.
Officers claimed they protected Sukarno from a CIA-backed council of generals.
Were they pawns? The truth has never been fully established. The silent strategist, untouched by the night's turmoil, moved with cold, lethal precision.
By the first light of day, the streets were empty, but the reins of power had already found a new master.
propaganda campaign that followed was masterful and monstrous.
They claimed the PKI orchestrated the coup, led by Gurwani women.
The clinical evidence told a different story. The reality on the examination table contradicted the official narrative.
But the reports were classified. The lies became accepted truth.
The stage was set for genocide.
How to find the millions?
The answer came from Washington. American compiled lists.
Declassified documents reveal the embassy provided thousands of names.
It really was a big help to the army.
I probably have a lot of blood on my hands.
The killing followed a pattern across the archipelago.
The army would arrive, reading names from the lists.
Sometimes these were local informants settling old grudges or coveting property.
For many, the summons meant a journey of no return, a quiet departure into the fading light of the outskirts.
Then the army would withdraw, letting civilian militias take over the killing.
They were told they were doing God's work, eliminating atheists.
This separation of labor ensured the army maintained official deniability.
The scale of killing is almost impossible to comprehend. Rivers clogged with bodies.
The violence was particularly intense in Bali, consuming entire villages.
Estimates suggest 100,000 Balinese were killed, 5% of the population.
The air smelled of death for months.
Unlike the Holocaust, this violence was face-to-face, intimate and brutal.
The end came swiftly, brutally, in the dead of night, with tools meant for the harvest.
One perpetrator later described discovering a faster way to kill. It was simple mechanics. A loop, a pull, and then silence.
He demonstrated the technique, smiling, as if describing a household trick.
How did the world's greatest power respond to the unfolding catastrophe? With quiet, approving toasts.
In private cables, the ambassador called the bloody purge a gleam of light in Asia.
The embassy viewed the elimination of the political left as a momentous strategic asset.
The U.S. provided weapons, communications, and critical political cover.
Washington signaled full support for Suharto's relentless campaign.
By March 1966, the main killing had largely subsided.
The PKI was destroyed. Another million or more were imprisoned without trial.
They spent years, sometimes decades, in camps, subjected to torture.
I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office. The general took formal power in 1967.
He swiftly became one of the West's closest, most reliable allies in the Cold War.
Part 2. The Silence. The massacre was never acknowledged, never investigated. Instead of the truth, a grotesque lie about the victims was repeated endlessly.
until it became history.
Children grew up believing the lie that justified the killing fields.
Relations. Victims' families were branded, denied jobs, subjected to surveillance.
In the West, the massacre was barely reported, seen as an internal affair.
The New York Times framed it as a gleam of light in Asia. Time magazine called it the West's best news for years. 1 million people were dead, and the Western press celebrated the victory.
Part 3. The Documents. America's role remained hidden for decades.
Then, in 1990, the first cables revealing the provided names emerged.
Officials knew the scale. They knew the brutal methods. And they approved.
Another cable described mass executions in rural areas as cleanup operations.
The final judgment. The benefits of alliance outweighed the cost of 1 million lives.
Today, the massacre remains one of history's least known genocides.
No truth commission. No official apology. No justice for the descendants. No truth commission. No official apology. No justice for the descendants.
The perpetrators, unprosecuted, live openly. Many are respected leaders.
They have never expressed remorse for the purging they carried out.
Decades later, filmmakers arrived to confront the aging perpetrators, asking them to reenact their crimes.
Men reenacted their murders in the style of their favorite Hollywood movies. Watching himself, one man finally seemed to comprehend the horror.
He began to retch and gag, his body rebelling against his mind's comprehension.
But even then, he blamed propaganda, circumstances, and the orders he was given.
Indonesia's government has never accepted responsibility. Neither has the United States.
This genocide teaches how easily propaganda turns people into killers.
Cold War ideology justified atrocity. Victims became strategic necessities.
It shows how thoroughly a genocide can be erased from Western memory.
Absence of accountability ensures that history remains vulnerable to repetition.
The rivers of Java no longer run red with blood today.
The mass graves are covered by time and vegetation, centuries of growth.
The perpetrators are dying off, their unpunished stories untold.
We don't know exactly how many died, because no one bothered to count them.
We don't know their names because no one remembered to record them.
They had dreams and fears and loves and hopes. They were human beings.
One night in 1965, they became numbers on a list. This was the General's Purge. And for decades, this was the world's secret. This was genocide.
A silence that still echoes.
Will the truth ever fully emerge from the shadows of the Cold War?
Silence is often the loudest accomplice to mass atrocity.
The jungle keeps its secrets, but history demands remembrance.
For the descendants, the search for truth is a daily, quiet battle.
500,000 people, or 3 million. The exact number lost to the dark.
They were mothers and fathers, children. They were human beings.
And one night in 1965, they became uncounted history.
Suparman, Hartini, Bambang, Siti,